Today we will be talking about some of the key ideas of B.B. Bohra, and for your course governance and management of natural resources, this gentleman B.B. Bohra is very important. I request you to read some of his essays. He has written a book around 1980s. It was published in 1980s, early 1980s. I am forgetting the name, but you can Google it and you could find out his. I have got some essays of B.B. Bohra, and I think I have already shared with you. He wrote a very famous essay in Economic and Political Weekly in 1960s and 70s, and after that his article has been published at multiple places. If you search his name, you will be able to find his paper uploaded on UN website. His article is also there. So if somebody's article is there at UN website, then you can estimate how big, how influential that person is. And before coming to this class, I was doing some research and I found that B.B. Bohra played very important role as far as government policies are concerned related to environment. So you could say that he is government's man, government's expert for managing and removing the problems related to environment. And the way this course has been designed, your course, I think somehow I feel that the designer of the course, which is known as governance management of the natural resources, I think the course instructor, the university administration, in my understanding, has been influenced by B.B. Bohra. This is my reading, because I am more influenced by the ideas which criticizes development, okay, but he is the person who believes that development is not bad, okay, natural resources should be managed properly, okay, and his only concern is not to allow natural resources get destroyed. So basically his concern is just to stop, I think, the destruction, degradation, but he would not critique like Ashish Nandi or Bandana Shiva or maybe James Scott that there is a problem with science, there is a problem with development, there is a problem with modern state. He would not go to that extent. He is not so radical. His basic concern is that let's stop, let's prevent, let's arrest degradation of the natural resources. And his paper in 1960s and 70s, by that time this ecological movement and green movement, they were not very strong. So in that situation, you could say him that he was somehow pioneer. And yes, I told you that he is looking at the issue from a state's point of view. He is not very radical, you understand, that he will completely run away from this development, this is all exploitative, and a state is responsible for, let's say, dispossessing poor people. He would not argue like this. He is very much rational, very much, let's say, bureaucrat. He's a bureaucrat, and he's talking about concrete policies. So I would have definitely disagreed with him, but he is very key figure, and you should learn, you should read his writings so that you will be able to understand that how people sitting in the establishment thinks. And another great thing about B.B. Bohra is that he will give you full of information about natural, about the nature, about the water, river, soil. He will give you data. So this man gives you a lot of data. Okay, what about soil erosion? What about deforestation? What about problem in jungle? So he will give you concrete data. Ashish Nandi, Bandana Siva, James F. Scott would give you ideas. Okay, they will more be talking about in terms of philosophy, but this man has got data. Okay, he will give me, okay, how many acres of land is there in India? What about barren land? What about, let's say, green land? What about land which is fit for agricultural work? So he will give you all kinds of data. So my request is that read his articles, and since you are from, let's say, natural science background, you will be able to understand more than what I can understand. Because if too much data and details are being talked about, I also feel a bit, it's a burden. Okay, I am not able to process it. I am more interested in, let's say, ideas and philosophy. So this man is very important. So what I will do, what I have done, I have today discussed, I am going to discuss B.B. Bohra's paper which he wrote for Rajiv Gandhi Institute for Contemporary Studies. The name of the paper is Natural Resources Management for Poverty Alleviation. So you could see that the name of your course is Governance and Natural Resources Management. So 3 words are already there in his paper. So you understand that the way the course has been designed, this gentleman has influenced it. So this is the paper which he wrote, and it is available on internet. The PDF version which I have accessed is of 2010. Okay? And this is what we will be discussing: Natural Resources Management for Poverty Alleviation, the paper by B.B. Bohra, written for Rajiv Gandhi Institute for Contemporary Studies. Okay. So in this paper, basically what he does, he doesn't talk about big philosophy. Okay, he starts with giving you the concrete picture about land, water, forest. He gives you data one after another. So, and then by giving data, he would try to create some awareness. He would try to tell the government that, sir, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Minister, here is the data that agricultural lands are facing some problem. You do something. So the basically B.B. Bohra would work like this, that he will collect the data, he will do the research, and then for concrete policy making, he will show it. Sir, do it. This is the forest. Here is the problem with the forest. Please do it. So he is very much rich in providing data. So what he does, I would like to show you one thing. In this paper, he has given you this information. You just B.B. Bohra. He has given you data about land. So he has used some statistics and he has said that in India there are 304.9 million hectares MH of India geographical area for which information is available. So basically he is giving you full data. Whatever data is available about India's geographical area, the total area is 304.9 mh hectares. Okay, so this is total, and then after that he is giving you details. So for you, like a policy researchers, he is a very important person. I may not know. If suppose by the end of the class you will ask me, sir, tell me what is the total area of current, let's say area under non-agriculture uses. I have no clue. But this man has got all the informations. So he says that area under non-agricultural uses is 21.2 mh. Barren and uncultivated land 19.7 mh. Net area sown 142.2 mh. Forest lands under good tree cover 40% density and above 38.6 mh. Miscellaneous tree crops and groves 3.7 mh. Forest lands under poor tree cover 29.3 mh. Cultivable wasteland 15.0 mh. Then current follows, old follows, permanent postures and grazing ground. So basically he has given you the picture. What about land situation? And then he goes to give you further detail, and he says that nearly 2/3 of India's agriculture lands are sick to some extent. So he gives you detail, and then he said land suffers basically from two major elements: denudations and erosion, leading to the loss of the topsoil through the action of water and wind, and waterlogging, which finally results in the salinizations of the soil, according to available estimate of the 175 mh hectare of degraded and wasteland that the country possesses. Around 150 mh hectare suffer from erosion of the topsoil and its attendant ills such as floods and gully formation, and around 25 mh from waterlogging and salinization of the lands subject to erosion. Around 125 mh suffer from water erosion and around 25 mh from wind erosion. So this man, when I was reading the paper, I was thinking how to summarize it, because every line is important. This man has got encyclopedic information about natural resources in this country. So he says there is no doubt that the lands subject to erosion constitute the biggest single threat to India's economy. So he is basically saying that land erosion is a big threat to India. For not only do such land suffer an increasing loss of productivity because of the progressive loss of the fertile topsoil. The loss of topsoil, which is fertile, is also a big concern which he is raising, but they also contribute to the loss of a great deal of priceless sweet water by way of excessive runoff along denuded slopes. So the sweet water is also being lost, topsoil is also being lost, and then erosion is one of the biggest threat to Indians' economy, land. This gentleman is bringing to your notice. And why this man is important, B.B. Bohra? Because he is talking about these issues when environmental organizations were not established in India, when ecological movements were not so strong, when media was not paying much attention to these issues. I do not argue that there was no person at that time, but of course there were few people, and B.B. Bohra is important. And why we are talking about him? Because he was one of those bureaucrats, government officers who gathered data, who wrote in the newspaper, magazines, and brought this environmental degradation to public attentions. And later he was also instrumental in making government policies to tackle some problems. So he is a must reading for you, B.B. Bohra. See, then he is also talking about water lodging problem, and he says our record in tackling problem of water lodging and salinizations is equally poor. So this water lodging is also being raised by him. So he says that an overview of the water management scenario in India reveals that our traditional policies have proved to be seriously deficient on all these three counts and therefore need to be reviewed urgently. So he is also looking at what is wrong with the traditional policies of India as far as water is concerned. And you could see here that the term management is there in your course. The term management is coming again here. The term natural resources is there in your course. The term natural resources are here. So basically B.B. Bohra is the person who is very much influential in making or in establishing, setting up your university in a course. This is what I assume. It is not God's words I am telling you, but this is my understanding or interpretation. So he says that there is a need for better resource management, and he has said that it is a very serious matter and it cannot be left alone to the government. So this is very important point which he is making. Having shown that there are multiple problems as far as water, forest, land are concerned, but what is the way out? The way out is not that we leave everything to government, but there should be also researchers, activists, civil society members, experts, they all should come together. So I am a student of politics, political science, public administration, so I could understand that the way he is talking about that it cannot be tackled by government alone. Remember the term governance. I taught in the class that what is this governance model? The governance model believes that a state is not only actor. There are other actors also like market and civil society, and market and civil society should also have say in formulating policies. So this gentleman, when the term governance was not very popular, he was basically talking in terms of governance model, that government is there. Nobody is saying that government has no role, but there are also other actors. They should also be allowed, they should also be facilitated to speak on those issues. Then he has said, in the circumstances, a great responsibility rests on concerned citizen. As a researcher, you are also part of concerned citizen who can read and read the writing on the wall and to come together to create a strong voluntary organization that will act as a watchdog of the nation's interest in this neglected field. So basically he is also environmentalist of his own kind. He is also environmentalist. That the degree of thinking will value, okay? I will say, sir, you are not radical enough. And he would say, young man, you are not practical enough. He will say that you are not practical enough. And I will say, sir, you are not radical enough. So there are two ways of thinking. But his contribution lies in the fact that being a government officer, he gathered very reliable data and he's arguing that let's make policy change, and it could not be left to government alone, but concerned citizens, research organizations are there to play important role and their role should be accepted. Such a body should do everything possible to see that the issues that have been discussed above are kept alive, that greater awareness is created with regard to their urgency, and the government, both the center and the states, are constantly reminded of their duties in the field. So he is arguing that this organization should do research, should discuss, should bring those issues to public, and they should pay more attention to environmental issues, and both central governments and state governments both should bring about policy changes so that this attack or maybe the destruction of the natural resources could be arrested. So in this paper, if you read his paper, he is giving details about everything. So you can read on your own, okay? He's talking about water, land, forest, everything. And he will give you all kinds of data. What is wrong, what kind of challenges are there, how much land is under threat, what is the percentage of forest which is under the threat, what is happening to forest. He would say everything, and then after that he would argue that government should play role, but apart from government, researchers, civil society members, concerned citizens, they have to play important role in discussing, debating, researching, and changing the opinion of the people for protection of the environment. So in this paper, he has also given you 10 steps, I think. 10 steps that what you need to do. So the first thing is talking about task. I think he has given you some task, what to do it. Suppose he is giving you some task. First, complacency must be said. So he is saying, oh, don't ignore it. Don't have this attitude, कुछ नहीं होता है, क्या हो जाएगा, nothing will change. So he is basically making a request that the first thing you should do is to be alert. Don't go into this mood that nothing will change. And he says there has been so far no stern political will to tackle India's central problem of poverty and therefore for poor resource management. So he is saying that poverty in India has not been addressed because the natural resources are not being properly utilized. Okay, it has not been properly used, and there are multiple threats to natural resources that the government has not been able to tackle it. There is no political will. So the first thing the country should do is to give up this sense of complacency. अरे कुछ नहीं होता है, nothing can improve. No, remove this mindset and then become active, work for protections of natural resources. So he's saying this is in turn is due to the fact that people who matter mistakenly believe that all is well on the agricultural front because we can operate the PDS without having to import food grains. He's also saying that there is a problem among government officials that since you are able to provide grains in your public distribution system, you think that everything is good with agriculture. But he is saying that things are not good, and he is giving you some data also. And I cannot discuss in this class everything. I have already shared with you paper, and I know that since you have a background from the natural resources, you can read more and you can understand this paper better than what I can do. So he is saying that we need to change our policy, and unless this vicious circle is broken by a sustained and effective campaign for the perils inherent in the continued neglect and mismanagement of our natural resources, there is a little likelihood of any great improvement in this situation. So basically his paper is saying that come on, have sustained campaign for protection of environment. Why? Because it has been neglected and it has been mismanaged. So your course is trying to properly manage resources, because earlier it was not properly managed. It was mismanaged. So instead of mismanagement, you are doing good management. You are doing governance. You are doing good governance. So basically you are also being influenced by B.B. Bohra, even if you do not know him. Soil and water must be converted to the maximal possible extent. The second warning he is giving. The third warning is giving that reclamation of water laws and saline lands. He is saying task number 3. Then task number 4 is containment of desert, arrest it because it is increasing. Task number 5, protection of good agriculture lands. He is saying that good agriculture lands are also facing threats for multiple regions. We need to protect them. 6, containment of coastal erosion. In the coastal area there is also erosion. You come from Tamil Nadu, there are some areas which face sea, okay, so those area might be facing some kind of erosion. So he is giving every detail. He is not saying and running away. If you read his paper, he will give you every details. Then next, review of the flood control policies. And then 9, review of the policy of surface water. Next, creation of central land use commission. He is also saying create a central land use commission. Then 12, task number 12, creation of land use authority at the state and district level. Next. So you could see here that B.B. Bohra is not giving you details, he is not giving you data, but he is also trying to give you how to how to tackle those problems. Yes.
Sir, coming back to your first class.
Yes.
You exposed us to globalization and governance. B.B. Bohra to ekdam alag hai. He's talking about central land use commission, central land use authority, central. Where are the Adivasis where we always talk about?
No. See, I told you in the class, you are right, that he is bureaucrat, okay? He was secretary, okay? So he is looking at from government's point of view, okay? He is not Medha Patekar, okay? He is not Adivasi activist. Can we go to page number 1? Just see, B.B. Bohra, former secretary to the government of India. B.B. Bohra, former chairman of the advisory group, Department of Westland Development, member of the National Environmental Council, founder chairman of Central Groundwater Board. So basically he is with the government. He's making the policy, so he will not speak like a Adivasi activist.
But sir, the government itself wanted the governance model. I mean, it's थोड़ा surprising नहीं लगता sir?
See,
चाहते हुए भी नहीं.
no, you are right. But I could also show you that B.B. Bohra is also talking about governance model in a sense that he said that government cannot be left alone for making policies. The concerned citizens should also, yes, the concerned citizen should also be given opportunity. You just read. There is urgent need for a better resource management, and this matter is too serious a matter to be left alone by the government. So, research organization, concerned citizens should also play their role. So you could see here. And when he's talking about bodies, so the governance model is not saying that a governance model means that there should not be chief election commissioner or there should not be, let's say, environmental ministry. You can have central body, but you should also allow other players, multiple players to have their role. So he is basically talking about this matter is too serious to be left alone to government. He has said clearly. I will request you, go and search in your library. If you find his book, B.B. Bohra's book, you should read it properly, take notes. B.B. Bohra, no? I think I think there is a book he wrote in 1980 or something. Okay, B.B. Bohra. And why his book is important. And I will share with you 2-3 more articles that if you read his book, take notes. And if you have notes, you can always cite it when you write a paper. That what about land, what about forest, what about agriculture land. He is giving all the details. You see, here I have shown you. See, I have taken one data from his article. He has given thousands of such data in his. Suppose you are a student of natural resources and tomorrow if somebody has asked you, sir, tell me the area under non-agriculture uses. You don't know. So,
the greening of India.
Principal advisor to INTACT, Indian National Trust for Arts and Heritage. So, he is a big man. Read him, and by reading him, you will be able to get official positions, government positions, and it will always help you. If you are reading, let's say, critical philosopher, radical philosopher, you should also know what B.B. Bohra has said. Thank you.